Now back to the crossover with Marlon Jones and Armon Williams.
All right, welcome back to the crossover with Marlon and Armon, KDUS 1060, brought to you by Western States Plumbing and AC, where members receive 2 annual maintenance visits as well as up to 20% off repairs and new systems. Call today, 480-712-8908. Once again, that's 480-712-8908. And don't forget, you can call into our listener line at 602-260-1060. Once again, that's 602-260-1060. And you just heard it. Strap in for Biketoberfest at OTG Sports Grill from Wednesday, October 4th through Sunday, October 8th. Biketoberfest week includes a Harley-Davidson raffle, poker run, live bands, Miss Biketober pageant, beard contest, barbecue cook-off, raffles, games, biker games, food trucks, vendors, and more. It's a week's worth of great live bands, food, drinks, atmosphere, and bikes, baby. So check it out. OTG Sports Grill at 801 South Power Road, just north of Southern Avenue on Power Road in Mesa. Marlon and I will be partaking in that. And speaking of partaking, next week we're going to be at the Yucca Tap Room.
Oh, that's right. We'll be
live down in Tempe with our friend Rodney Who.
Rodney.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be live and direct on location there.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite spots, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. He owes us a steak, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken.
So it'll be fun to catch up with him. And, you know, it's one of your old Arizona State buddies.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a diehard Sun Devil fan.
You going to start growing the beard for the beard contest?
Oh, hell no.
No?
No, you already got it, man. You got it. You got it for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll maybe I'll partake in the Biketober pageant. Biketober.
Mr. Baldhead.
Maybe I can MC that.
Mr.
event.
Baldhead of Biketoberfest.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. We want to talk about the Arizona Cardinals because there was some big news that happened this week. They shipped off Isaiah Simmons to the New York Giants for a 2024 7th-round pick. We're talking about number 8 overall in the first round that they decided to go ahead and ship off for a 7th-round pick. It's a compensatory pick in the 2024 NFL draft. So something is not right. Something's definitely not right there in Cardinal land. And ESPN, I want to go to this. This is Dan Orlovsky. He breaks down the Isaiah Simmons role, but he does it more from a kind of a New York Giants perspective as he's looking at possibly what his role could be under New York's Giants DC, Wink Martindale.
This pickup for the Giants.
Well, hearing Wink Martindale talk, you mentioned Isaiah Simmons being versatile.
Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit of a flawed thing for him.
To his detriment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because what are you really good at? And that's where Wink's got to find something with Isaiah Simmons. And I think his point of positionless is a little bit more hopeful for them.
Yeah.
And to hear him say, well, we want to get pressure on the quarterback, that's all this is for me is going to be about. Is going to be, they're labeling him as a linebacker. He's going to be, I would imagine, a rush guy.
Yeah.
And it's hearing him say selfless. It's twofold. One, this is a defensive line that has Kayvon Thibodeau and Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. So can he eat up a body or two to create one-on-ones for those guys? Or can those guys eat up a body or two to create one-on-ones in pass rush situations on lesser players for Isaiah Simmons? If that's the case, then I think if he can make it somewhere, it's going to be under Wink Martindale in this type of attacking system.
Now that was Dan Orlovsky kind of giving his take on Isaiah Simmons, saying that he's kind of a positionless player. And when he was drafted, he came in, I mean, they thought that they can transition him to a linebacker. He played a little bit of linebacker. Here's the thing. He came into Clemson University as a defensive back, as a safety.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he kind of outgrew the position, kind of, sort of. He's a tweener. And I know something about being a tweener because I was a tweener when I went into the NFL. I was a linebacker, and I got drafted by the Houston Oilers at the time. And then Jeff Fisher, who was a head coach, he calls me up and he says, Armon, how you doing? This is Jeff Fisher. I'm like, how you doing, coach? He said, we just drafted you. Looking forward to bringing you in. We're going to make you a strong safety, okay? And I was like, all right, cool. And this is kind of the position that Isaiah Simmons is in. He's a tweener. He doesn't necessarily he's a freak of nature.
Yeah,
he's an absolute freak of nature, but he just doesn't. They're still trying to figure out where he fits in. He's fast enough. He's athletic enough to play defensive back, to play cornerback, but he doesn't quite have the technique or the tools to be able to do it at this level. And yet at linebacker, he can make plays at linebacker, but he doesn't feel comfortable playing linebacker.
Right. Darren Woodson was that way too.
Who's that?
Darren Woodson.
Oh, yeah.
Went to ASU as a linebacker
Yeah.
and played as one of the best safeties in Cowboys history.
But he made it. I mean, he figured it out.
Yeah.
He eventually figured it out.
Hey, can we have a couple things? First of all, can we give props to whoever was doing that baseline during the Orlovsky when he was talking about Isaiah?
That little groove
that
going
little
on?
groove was kind of dope. Shout out to that. And Wink Martindale, is he related to the game show?
I'm thinking, first of all, I was about to say that. I was like, the name like Wink Martindale, you should be like hosting a game show, or a talk show, something after Regis filming or something like that. Regis and Kelly or something. Wink,
right? Because
winking somebody.
But that was his actual name was Wink Martindale.
Yeah,
the game show host with the skinny mic with the little ball on top.
Right.
Crazy. That can't be common.
Well, what show should Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator, host? I'm thinking maybe Stump the Swami.
Yeah, but that baseline groove was dope, though.
Oh, it was.
We got to find out who that was. Put that in the playlist for a little bit.
We have to contact the 4-letter network and say, hey man, who's that baseline player for that? That groove was kind of tight, homie. That groove was kind of smooth, man.
Oh man.
But it's an interesting it's an interesting move for the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously they gave up. They completely gave up on Isaiah Simmons.
Totally.
When you're giving him away for a 7th round pick.
And like you said, he's super athletic, freak of nature who's coming into his prime.
Right.
But like you said, they didn't know where to put him. They don't know how to play him.
They don't. And Nick Rawlis he's the Cardinals' current DC defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. They run a 3-4 hybrid scheme.
Right.
So it's not necessarily it's kind of a positionless defense, but it's kind of like an amoeba 3-4. And the previous defense coordinator was Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph ran more of a high pressure 3-4 system, and then Wink Martindale, he relies heavily on an aggressive cover 1 defense, but it's still the foundation of it, the base of it is a 3-4 base front 7 defense. But he was kind of positionless. And when I mentioned that, there's an interesting article that I was reading that I thought that I'd bring to the table to kind of discuss, because this was an article that was put out literally like a day before they decided to go ahead and cut ties with Isaiah Simmons and ship him off to the New York Giants for a 7th round pick. This came from actually Garrett Podell. This is an NFL network. This is actually CBS Sports via the NFL network. He put out an update. This was after week 2. This is an analysis of all 32 teams. What he did is he took a look at the pros and cons of each and every single NFL team, broke them down, 32 teams, one at a time, their pros as well as their cons. So he looked at the good, then he looked at the bad and the ugly. I don't care about the good with the Arizona Cardinals. Let's look at the bad and the ugly. This is what he said literally a day before the Cardinals traded away Isaiah Simmons. This is what this gentleman, Garrett Podell, what he wrote. He says the bad and the ugly. The Cardinals' safety, Isaiah Simmons, the 8th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, showcased all the reasons why new general manager Monty Austinfort opted not to pick up his 5th-year option. He got lost in coverage, which led to the Chiefs gaining over 20 yards. He goes on to say Simmons also appeared to make a lackluster effort on a tackle in the end zone, opting to pull up and make no attempt to jar the ball loose from wide receiver Justin Watson on a play that went for Mahomes and the first-team offense's only points at the end of the first quarter. Just bad body language and awareness all night long from a player entering a contract year and a new regime. That was literally the day before they decided to trade him. So somebody was obviously paying attention to what was going on there, and like something doesn't look right. I mean, obviously, this is a hell of a like a giveaway. I mean, kind of a giveaway for the Arizona Cardinals to give up the number 8th overall pick for a 7th rounder. For a 7th rounder
and Isaiah, like we said, is starting coming to his prime right now.
Yes,
and
he's trying to figure it out. But he moved. He transitioned. He recently transitioned from linebacker to defensive back because he lined up at 4 positions throughout the first 3 seasons, according to ESPN stats and information, including more than 1,300 snaps at inside and outside linebacker. So this was a relatively new move. Now, and this was Cardinals coach Jonathan Gannon. This was his quote after they after they announced that they were going to go ahead and trade him. He said, I don't think it was an issue what Isaiah did. He did everything that was asked of him to do. And he went on to say, moving forward, we feel that this is the best way we want to play football against other people. We're going to try to put the best guys out there that can function and do the best job. Well, obviously something wasn't right for them to go ahead and to make this move. Because this is pretty damn drastic. And this is 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. They just completely gave up on him.
They did. And I just found out, too, that the D.C. coordinator with the Giants,
Wink Martindale,
he got the nickname Wink from his college teammates because he had the same last name.
I got you.
Wink.
I figured that.
So
that's interesting.
There you go.
The more you know. And, the Cardinals, they didn't just get rid of they didn't just move away from Isaiah Simmons. They also let go of the offensive tackle, Josh Jones, who was a backup offensive tackle. But he did start 11 games last year, and and they're giving him away, and they're giving away their 7th-round pick because they gained a 7th-round pick from the Giants. So they're giving away their 7th-round pick to the Houston Texans, and they're going to wind up getting back a 5th-round pick. There's a lot of stuff that's going on with the Arizona Cardinals over the last couple days or so. There's more, and we'll talk about that as we get into the show a little bit more. But it's really, really interesting. I'm finding it very interesting what's going on, and it's going to be an interesting season to say the least.
Yes, sir.
All right, coming up next, if they weren't as good as they are, we'd be calling this one of the biggest foul-ups in recent football history. Find out what we're talking about next, right here on The Crossover, KDUS 1060.